So here we are, and just before we started hitting record, we were making silly 1930s or 40s radio voices at each other. I'm not sure if I'm quite getting there. It was more nasal and up there, but here is David and Daniel. I sound more like a commentator coming around the inside lane. There's Daniel ready to start.
Oh, fantastic. He has the soft tires on. And the lightweight aero package is what I have. I do have a pretty strong aero package this week. I don't know, ever since the piercing.
I'm not talking about your aero package, Daniel. Let's move on.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, no. But what I mean is my hair, I haven't gone to the barbers for ages, but I dare not because the piercing is still so fresh, and I don't want the guy to touch the ear or something.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, I've solved the problem for listeners of the show. I'm wearing a beanie hat. In fact, shout out to Tony, who I think sometimes watches or listens to the show, because he refers to me as Ali G whenever he sees me wearing this beanie. And it is a little.
I can very much see it.
Fun fact.
Yeah, go on.
Fun fact, about 20 years ago now, I was living in Staines for a very brief period of time in my life, just like the character Ali G, who was supposed to live in Staines upon Thames.
And Ali G is someone who is played by the same guy as Borat.
That's right. And I am showing my age referencing Ali G, so let's move on.
Humor.
Yep.
Anyway, so listener Tony, hey Tony, just for you basically, welcome to Waiting for Review, a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts, Dave and Daniel, that's me, and let's hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. Join us everyone while waiting for review.
Hey, we've started the intro before we're fully into the show.
Yeah.
How you doing, Daniel?
We've lost the transatlantic accents, have the intro done, so we're good. I'm good. I am incredibly work focused this week. And I'm actually being very enthusiastic about it.
Hey.
So that's pretty cool. And also the last few weeks were really hard for me, work-wise, but also just I don't know, that's a huge amount going on and whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm just slowly getting my energy back, and it really feels really, really good. I feel energized and in a really good way.
And is it coming into sort of spring, almost summertime? Where you are as well? Have you come out of that curve into hey, it's nice and sunny and
maybe that's probably also a reason.
Yeah, I say because another reason for the hat is that it is freezing here in New Zealand today because we're at the other end of the year.
Yeah, and the other end of the Earth, the planet. That's pretty cool, actually.
Yes,
we think about it.
It's very cool. In terms of, yes, I was frozen this morning.
Okay, I'm sorry. That's not as cool, as nice, even if it is cool. What is cool though is listener feedback. So we heard from listener Tony already. We also have a message from Holger Krupp. Mm-hmm. Thanks to Daniel and Dave for the discussion about time limits for apps on iOS. I'm trying this this now. He's setting a maximum of 45 minutes per day for this app. Mm-hmm. I assume from the message he's setting it for YouTube. And
no, Instagram in the screenshot, Daniel.
Where does it say? Oh, you've reached your limit on Instagram. Yeah. And in the message he says, unfortunately, there's no way to restrict YouTube shorts, but not long videos, which I didn't even think about because my YouTube is just long videos. For shorts, I use the TikToks.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this is really cool that people are doing this.
Definitely. People are giving that a try. I'm still not. But yeah, being able to fine grain your time limits. Unfortunately, you need the apps really to give some other option, I guess, there. But that's not
Yeah.
something YouTube's ever going to give you, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like the apps, they kind of want to be your sole focus, so you're kind of at odds with them. So they're probably not gonna play ball. So
Yeah.
if you're really into like YouTube Shorts or whatever, you're just gonna have to ban the whole app and then instead read a good book, maybe. Go
Yeah,
outside,
maybe
touch
so.
the grass.
Or the thing to be fair, Daniel,
To be
I know a lot of
fair,
people. To be fair, yeah, I know a lot of folks watch a lot of YouTube, like as people would have watched TV a few decades back. But for me, I get fed up with the ads. And one thing I've done is I've installed this application called Vinegar, which runs a Safari extension, which helps you watch things without the ads. It's basically its own little ad removal
oh,
thing.
that's pretty cool.
But of course, it doesn't work with the YouTube app. And I'm like, well, actually, I'm okay with that because for as little as I watch YouTube, like I watch stuff when people link it to me or if I'm searching for a particular thing, but I don't just go there for entertainment. I've found that it works well for me at that point, right? I don't see
Cool.
the ads or anything. It also means I don't really end up down the rabbit hole of the shorts because I'm not in the YouTube app. It's not nudging me that way,
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I'm
that's not for everybody.
I'm actually a heavy YouTube user, but also not a shorts user. So what I do is when I sit down in front of a TV in the evening, most of the time I will actually turn on YouTube on the Apple TV. And
Yep.
I watch a lot of like, I want to say documentaries or like sci-fi stuff and stuff like that. Like there's this one channel that's called Real Engineering about like, I don't know how they build planes and stuff. I kind of like that. And lots of space stuff and whatever. And so actually a while ago, a few years ago, I decided I'm just going to pay for YouTube Premium. I watch enough that the ads are really annoying and it's about the same as Netflix or any other streaming service. And just the amount of time I spent there, it's just money well spent, even though you're giving it directly to Google, of course, but whatever.
But you're also using the product. So that means, of course, you're a customer at that point.
Yeah, I'd rather pay for it than be the product basically. And yeah, it works very well for me. It's nice. I also get YouTube Music, which I never use, but that's another story. Yeah, I just watch a lot of YouTube content.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I'm finding it's interesting, right? Because I was very much on a social media like diet in the last couple of years of like, I'm not doing anything with Meta, not doing anything with Twitter, et cetera, et cetera. And because I've been using Instagram for the VJ app to publish bits about it there, it does suck me in. That black hole of media, and now it knows what I'm interested in, right? So it's serving me all these really, really interesting visuals based videos. I get it. I get how difficult it is for anybody to leave their comfy spot with it as well, because it is entertaining and it is good. It's like I'm finding all these shorts about these little video projection ideas and things, and it draws me in, and that's exactly what it's meant to do. So I think this comes full circle back around to the topic we had last week, which was about setting sensible time limits and that sort of stuff, right? It's like if I accept that this is something I do actually enjoy within these parameters and I'm getting value out of it, well, that's okay. I hate Zuckerberg. I hate Meta. I don't hate the people posting the content I'm watching, though, and I find it very conflicting in a lot of ways because of that. But I think time limits, to try and protect time for doing stuff is a sensible thing.
Or time for actual rest,
Yeah, and I should definitely instigate some. So maybe I'm going to take an action rather than talking about it and saying how it's a positive and people could or should. Here's my commitment, Daniel. I'm going to put a time limit on these things and then check back in over the next week and see how I'm doing with that.
Awesome. Yeah.
But
Like
shout out to Holger for his comment. I'm sorry we can't help in any way with the dichotomy of shorts and long form on YouTube, and configuring how you want it. But yeah, definitely keen to hear how anybody listening to the show is getting on with their own time limits.
Yeah, totally. That'd be super interesting. What have you been doing these days? Like, have you been doing the marketings, or have you been writing code? What's your occupation right now? Is like, I know that GoVJ 3 isn't out yet, so are you stuck? Are you happy where you are?
I'm actually happy where I am. I'm not stuck, but I'm certainly not as far along as I wish I was with it all. I'm looking at my note in our topics, and I wrote about GoVJ that I'm on final _draft V3. Feels a bit like that, like I'm drawing it out. But what I've done, Daniel, in the last week is I've gone on a bug hunt and a bug fixing mission just to polish everything over. So I'm still in the code there. Meanwhile, on the marketing side, I'm building up to it. I hate it. I really do. But on that side, what I have done is I've been speaking with a few people on Instagram, actually, and getting more people hooked up with the current beta to get some feedback. And that's not specifically release marketing, but what's going on there is I have realized there's this whole other sub-scene that is VJ adjacent.
Which is?
Right? Liquid light shows.
What's that? What's that?
Wow. Yeah,
What's
exactly.
That,
this is what happened. This is my reaction, and I feel really, really ignorant now, or I was ignorant before this. These people are making light shows with inks and oils.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Underlit by bright lights. Yeah, and the modern it used to be people used overhead projectors, and like a couple of Pyrex bowls, clear kind of plates or bowls, squidged the oil over the light to project that fancy, like, the psychedelic 60s, 70s sort of swirling patterns. Yeah,
I can totally. I think I've seen that somewhere.
Yeah, I posted a video I found to Mastodon about this, actually, and I'll link it in the show notes because it's a fantastic history of the light shows from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and how that tied through to effectively right the way into projected visuals and VJing, the sort of stuff that I did in the early 2000s through to today. So there is a lineage there that actually I should have known about a bit deeper, which is those light shows sort of walked so that visuals with apps like mine could run. Right? They're directly related. Long story short, these people are on Instagram. There's a whole scene where people are rediscovering that art form, and then they're using cameras and applications like mine to then feed that into things. Yeah, with effects.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I've been speaking with a few of the movers and shakers of the liquid light scene on Instagram. And honestly, I think there's a whole group there that would benefit from an app like mine.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So not quite marketing, but I do know some of how I'm going to pitch it effectively.
Networking, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. I like that. I thought you were going to say lasers because I sent you a laser video the other day and I was like, oh, lasers are cool,
Lasers are cool. Yeah.
But the liquid light thing sounds
no lasers for me.
Cool.
For listeners of the show, we were trying to trigger lasers on our respective iPhone cameras, and then
I was gonna let it uncommented,
Yeah,
a little tiny treat.
Well. But yes, no, not lasers, liquid light, and so that's me very much telling you I've not done any marketing really. I've been doing networking by speaking to people on Instagram, but the bugs are nearly clear. The app
That's
is
also
in
good.
a much better stage. That list is down to like one last thing, so that'll get ticked off this weekend. And then, yes, absolutely into marketing mode. I've got my screenshots ready. I need to update the website with all of the new screenshots and everything. As we spoke about before, Daniel, I'm going to repurpose the landing page that you helped me with a few months back for GoVJ Pro. I'm going to repurpose that for regular GoVJ, put these screenshots in. And again, try and move as quickly as I can to actually get this thing out the door.
Fantastic. So, good to know.
Yeah. But that's me desperately trying to pull myself out of the code, getting into marketing mode.
I'm in marketing mode. I don't really like it, but actually, I kind of like it. The thing that I'm doing, I like that. What I'm doing is, I have this consultant, I guess now, who has a lot of ideas and knowledge about like landing pages and website marketing and stuff like that. And so I'm redesigning the website. And one thing that he says is have different landing pages for different types of industries and stuff like that. And so one thing that I've been doing is creating in the in our CMS system, creating the different building blocks that I need for this to work. And so the first few like glimpses at that are online, but they're not really linked basically. Hang on. I can actually show you. Like I'm gonna describe everything, but if you are on video, I can show you a few nice visuals. If I can actually manage to resize my window, which I can somehow. Now here we go. So what I did so far was I started on creating like these different like these new layouts basically that are more clear and have like a good call to action and a nice headline and stuff like that, and are a bit more focused. So for example, I actually created so what we want to do is we want to have like landing pages for different industries, and one of the industries will be startups, another one will be indie developers, and then maybe like medium-sized like companies, app development agencies, medtech. That's going to be the first few, I think. Medtech, yeah. And so now that I have the landing page that is just like directed only at startups, I can like bring forward the arguments basically that people who are startup founders need to hear the most. Like for example, for the startup page, it says it's very hassle-free and it doesn't bring any like legal and technical complexities. Also says that the setup is very quick and that we like provide a lot of like pre-made dashboards and stuff like that. And what I did was actually I built these components to be very like flexible, where I can just like have the screen like I don't know separated into two columns, and then on the one column like I can set it to right or left depending, so I can like alternate them. On the one column I can just like have text and a like a call to action button or something like that, and then maybe a list of features. And on the other column, I can have I either can have something like a bunch of testimonials that I've been collecting testimonials for ages, and now I can just link to them. It's so nice. I can have live charts because I want to illustrate a telemetry deck feature. I can also have screenshots or images.
Beautiful.
And it is, of course, I want to say mobile optimized and whatever. And also, like, because I'm linking to these, because I'm including these features, I'm also like creating a library of features, kind of, where, where I am. Here we go. where I'm just like, for every feature that I'm linking, I kind of link that to a separate page, and then I can like write a few paragraphs about how the feature works, basically. And the features then, they have kind of the same, the feature pages, they have kind of the same functionality where you can have different content. You can have images and live charts and whatever. And and also testimonials actually. And that's super fun because it is so flexible, but at the same time, it gives a very like direct framework, basically, how these pages should be looking. And I think what's missing is, I don't know, like a huge call to action at the bottom or something. But other than that, it's been really fun to like build this and then also have in a CMS have like all these fields, because then you don't have the how's it called, the empty page syndrome, basically, where you're like, okay, I have a huge empty page. What should I do? But now I know, basically, I want to have like 3 of these elements on the page with alternating like right and left layout. And what I also want is, and these elements, then they have like all these fields that I can fill out. Like I have a title for the element and some body text or whatever. And then I kind of, I'm like, oh yeah, there's a feature list field. So I kind of like add links to features there, stuff like that. And so that actually makes it easier to work with that.
That's really very cool. I love that. What I've got to ask, I'm curious, what headless CMS are you using to drive it?
Sanity.
Oh, what's Sanity?
It's a headless CMS. Sanity.io. There are like, to explain what a headless CMS is, it is a CMS system. I love saying CMS system because it's just wrong. Like CMS for content management system. So I love saying CMS system, just like I love saying ATM machine. And
and pin number.
Pin number. Oh yeah, that's also a good one.
Yep.
A headless CMS is a content management system that does not have a presentation layer. Like, for example, think of WordPress is a CMS, but WordPress is the CMS in the back end where you edit your posts, but also the front end that renders your post as a blog. Whereas a headless CMS is something that is just the backend. You edit your post or whatever, and you can tell it, oh, my thing has posts, and it has features, and it has landing pages, and it has regular pages, and it has FAQ items, for example. And then you can define the fields that these have. And then with another software, you can just like connect to the API and be like, hey, give me all the FAQ items, give me all the landing pages, and use that data to build your website as I do. Like I kind of rebuild the whole website as static HTML. Every time something changes, what you could also do is like just like grab the data live as the user navigates. It has different trade-offs, basically.
Got it.
I think the most well-known headless CMS is Contentful.
Yeah, I was looking at another one
Strapi.
called Wagtail.
Yeah,
Wagtail was another one.
Like at the beginning, I kind of looked at a lot of these, and there are more like better headless CMSs than Sanity compared to Sanity, but they were way more expensive, especially Contentful, which some of us have worked with, not me, but like Lisa, for example. Looks really cool, but it's like you get into the hundreds and thousands of bucks really quickly. Because they are kind of targeting larger, richer companies than us. And so us operating on a shoestring budget was not correct,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it didn't work out that way. And then I discovered Sanity, which worked very well with 11T, which is the software I used to create my front-end headless, my static HTML files. And also, it works very similar than like compared to I want to say Django admin, which is something that I used to do a lot of backend CMSs in when I was working with Python and Django. Fun fact, by the way.
So go.
Fun fact about, I want to say 10 to 12 years ago ish, I worked as the CTO of an app development agency, and we had a customer who was a large car manufacturer, and they wanted to have an app that was kind of like a sales catalog with lots of images and then the different layouts and then different text and whatever.
Mhm.
And what they really wanted to do was like they wanted to change the content of the app without having to re-upload to the App Store. And
Yep.
we kind of built something like that for them. And then I was like, this is actually cool. This is a CMS, but without the front end. We had no idea what to call it. And so I was like, can we make this into a product? And we especially I kind of pushed an initiative so that we would work more on that. And we kind of sold it to a few more customers, but it never really like in hindsight, I should have really pushed to make this like into a public facing product, because that's exactly how Contentful came to be, for example. Like I could be the CTO of Contentful for all I know in another universe. But it was still fun. Like I forgot what it was called. There was like some car engine related name for it, because I don't know, like, you know me, either space or cars.
Yes. That's interesting, because that's like a the two roads kind of thing. You could have been deep in CMS and maybe still working with Django today,
maybe,
in
yeah,
one way or another.
I mean, I took a while longer, but now I am a successful asterisk startup founder.
And I always read down to the bottom. What's the asterisk?
The asterisk is I don't know, like the company is not very, like, it's not profitable right now, and I'm not rich. But on the other hand, we haven't folded. We're good. We are. We're growing. Our customers are mostly happy, except about the few little bugs in the front end. So yeah,
you're punching above your weight, I think, is the phrase.
Like, it's not like someone said recently that we as a society often measure success only as forever success. Like, I don't know, relationships that end are not successful, and companies that fold are not successful. But I mean, yeah, like, so it's not, we're not on the safe side where it's like totally thinkable that we will survive the next 30, 40, 50 years. But I mean, we've built something really cool, and it works right now, and it works very well for me.
Oh, and it is working well. I love it. I really, I know we talk about Telemetry Deck every show because it's your product, but I enjoy hearing all about it. Enjoy hearing more about what's going on.
And let's hope that these new landing pages will actually bring in even more people. You know what I mean? Like just like make people, like, make it more well known, because that's important for growth and stuff like that. And what isn't in this landing page right now is, you know how if you go to a website for a SaaS product and it says, hey, like if you go to the menu and it says like something like solutions or whatever, and you hover over it and it's actually like this huge, incredibly large drop down. I hate those. But apparently I'm going to build one of those. So the thing is, the reason why I hate those is I never understood what they actually mean. Like, why can't you just tell me what the thing does, you know? Yeah. And like, whatever, why should I like check out some detail about the thing when I want to like get an idea for an overview, basically? And so what Andreas, our website consultant, told me was that what you are supposed to do, and what apparently many neurotypical people, many people are doing, is they like hover over the thing and then they find their description, like, I don't know, either by industry where they say like, oh, they're in a startup, or by role, like they have like these things like CTO or whatever, or even, I don't know, by another dimension. And then they just click the thing that most closely matches them. And then they get a landing page that is kind of tailored to them, which makes a lot of sense. But it never did to me, because like, I don't know, like I want the the main landing page to just tell me what the thing is and what it does
Yeah.
and how to use it.
Yep.
But apparently people don't want that, or like most people or whatever, like a large amount of people. What they want is, what is the feeling that I will get? What are the direct benefits? Which, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work for me directly, but apparently that is what a thing that mostly works. So I'm going to try it out.
That's quite interesting. I think there's something quite insightful there, because I'm in your camp in that sense, right? In that, just tell me what it does. Just tell me, like, you can start with like why you've made the product or why you think this thing exists. You can tell me how you do it, all of that kind of flow on. Tell me what it does. That's fine.
Yeah.
I will then figure out how it fits what I want to do, right? Like, I'm not looking for it to tell me how it will fit what I want to do, because I know that information. Yeah. But that's fine. If a lot of people are looking for if a lot of people are looking to see something that represents themselves quite directly, and you can achieve that in this way, and that helps them, then that's actually pretty awesome. And obviously, simultaneously, if it helps them, they're going to use your product. That helps you. It all feeds together. But that's the thing, right? You want people to find that side of it. You want people to understand how it's going to work for them, and then use it, and then get that benefit. So yeah, I guess I see it. I see how this comes together. I also think that your different landing pages, I wonder if that's going to help you with any sort of SEO and that side of stuff as well, like whether it sort of hangs together with that.
I mean, that's also why I kind of really wanted the features to have their own pages that get linked to from different landing pages. Let's see the what the the charts are gonna say. And also, like, you talked about this last time, I think, or 2 episodes ago, where you said you really should be less, like, more about like benefit first language, I think, something like that. And so I try to do that, where I, especially in the titles and the subtitles, I try to be more about, hey, this is like, you will enjoy this benefit, and then explain the features that lead to the benefit later.
Nice. And yeah, I think that again, like, you put that view together with what Andreas has been telling you, nudging you towards with all of this. Yeah, that's cool.
Like, for example, like my original headline was something like, hey, because we are anonymizing our data's authority, that we are not even like fall under GDPR and other privacy regulations, you are not obligated to bring up cookie banners. And I kind of reworked that to forget consent management. All of the data, none of the asking. There's no need for cookie consent banners or in-app permissions. Enjoy uninterrupted insights on all user behavior, because our algorithms are designed to respect privacy from the ground up.
Yeah, that's better.
I don't know. I feel icky, but whatever. One thing that really helped me is I'm now paying for like GPT-4, and I write something, then I copy it in there, and I tell it, rewrite this like an Apple ad.
Oh,
and then you have to do some editing. Like, it doesn't work perfectly, but like, you can actually pick up like almost whole sentences out of that, rework them a little bit, and like, it works. It works surprisingly well.
Oh, well, speaking of Apple ads, there's been a bit of ad controversy in the last couple of days. Well, not quite controversy, but
oh yeah, the iPad thing.
Yeah,
you want to talk about it?
And I think so, but I'll preface this with, I think you might have to start saying like an Apple ad before 2024. That's right, for your GPT hack. But yeah, the new iPads, I hadn't actually seen this right up until I saw a parody of it just before we started recording the show. So I've seen a few people posting about, oh yeah, okay, that ad says it all about how Apple's such a big bad tech company these days. So for anybody who hasn't seen this ad, the context here is that we had new iPads announced 2 days ago now, if not a little bit before. They showed this advert on the event, and the ad's gone out, and it has all of these musical instruments and equipment in the middle of this room, and there's this big metal slab representing the iPad Pro coming down and crushing it. Which I know from Apple's point of view, they're probably going for the iPad Pro is so powerful, you don't need all of these things anymore, and hey, look, it's crushing it. Isn't that good? And the backlash has been, yeah, that just represents how big tech is killing everything that's good about the world.
Yeah, it looks very horrible. Like there's a grand piano, and there's like various like string instruments, and they're just shattering.
Yep.
And it's
Yes.
There's also like a few computers, an old style arcade machine, like lots of things that people really love, and they're just destroying
Yes.
it. And then the message is like, oh yeah, but the iPad Pro is so thin, which I'm sure it is. But yeah, it is a absolute misstep, like a rare misstep really for a company like Apple, that is usually very good with their ads and their outside communication. I have an article that I'm going to link to in the show notes that says Apple apologizes for controversial iPad Pro ad and scraps plans for a TV campaign on 9 to 5 Mac. So apparently, just a few days after its debut, they have issued a public apology to Ad Age, saying it missed the mark with the video.
It's funny. So I'm on. Obviously, I saw some of the backlash from social media, from my Mastodon feed, from other iOS and indie devs. To be fair, and then just general people in that I follow. But also, I'm now in a few Facebook groups for what I do with the VJ app. I'm in like an iPad musicians group, and some of those sort of things. And it was interesting there because a lot of folks were like, yeah, these iPads, I mean, they're great, but like Apple's kind of jumping the shark with how much they're pushing what it can do, what it's got, the rest of it. Because for their needs, right, since the M1 and M1 iPad Pro, like that is more than powerful enough for a lot of what they do. And it's just quite interesting to me seeing the discussion there, because these are arguably people who are all in on the ecosystem, right? They're iPad-based musicians, but they're not all in the way that Apple assume in that ad, right? It's like an iPad is part of their workflow, and they love it for that. But that doesn't mean that they would get rid of all of their instruments or anything like that. Like it fits in as another part of the piece rather than dominating the whole thing in the way that advert implies. So yeah, they really did miss the mark, and I think they missed the mark with quite a lot of people who would otherwise have are otherwise very much advocates for what Apple does with the iPad. A rare misstep, but potentially a big one in in some ways. So yeah, good they've reversed it. But I don't know. Today's Apple is an interesting beast at times.
I mean, yeah. Hang on, I have a thing that I want to talk about, and this iPad topic like really leads into that, which is,
go for it.
I want to rant a bit more about Vision Pro.
Go on.
So I think now after the launch, people are getting a bit more realistic about the device and what it can do, and where what kinds of content does it have, and like what kinds of apps. And at least in the telemetry data set, usage is like steadily going down. Because like people are like, that's my interpretation. People are just like, they're just like playing with it, and it's like, oh yeah, this is cool. But then the novelty kind of wears off, and it feels like, oh, I can't really do the things that I really want to do with it because it's just very restricted. And I know that I've talked about this before, but I just feel very vindicated that this is what I said, and now it is kind of coming true, which is that the iPad is just a big the Vision Pro. The Vision Pro is just a big iPad. It is a wraparound iPad with an I don't know, infinity size screen basically. But it's still just a big iPad with all the problems that the iPad has, which is except multitasking. Like the multitasking user interface on the iPad on the Vision Pro is like fantastic because you just like drop your windows everywhere that you want, right? But apart from that, the Vision Pro or Vision Pro without that has all the problems that the iPad has, which is a software ecosystem that doesn't have enough applications. And also these applications are incredibly limited in the way they talk to each other and in the way they interact with the system, which is totally fine for a phone because everybody has a phone. So like people are just willing to put in the work to create the apps, but also people want their phones mostly for like single quick interactions. And so that works really well with the security model that the App Store and like Sandbox and everything does. But like everyone is still using Macs or computers because they are more powerful. Like even the Vision Pro fans, they use the Vision Pro to interact with their Macs, which, come on.
Yes. Which at the point in time you're talking, what, twice as much as a monitor, like twice as much as the studio monitor, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Like, you can look at that and go, well, I could have a Mac Studio and a monitor for equal money, if not a little less, depending on what you can pick up. And it's the Vision Pro is a hard sell, I think, for anybody looking at it through without the sort of rose-tinted glasses, if you like. There we go. It's kind of funny. Rose-tinted goggles. No, I this is conflicting for me because I really, really wanted and still want AR to work in a meaningful way. Like, I think there's something to it. I think there's definitely something there. We've spoken before about the fact I would like it for, video calling with family who are all the way around the other side of the world and having better presence in those sort of conversations. I want to sit with my cup of coffee on my sofa and see my mother virtually sat next to me in the same space or something like that, right? I think there's power to those sort of things and all the variations of that. There's power to an infinite canvas where you can, if things worked in the way that I would like them to work, you could start to replace certain physical interfaces with virtual ones that are used in a space. I'm thinking of node-based things where you're virtually connecting wires between stuff, right? And you're able to do that. There's all these things that could be quite powerful, but the Vision Pro as it is right now and what I see with it, you're right, it's too restrictive. It's got all these edges to it, and I can see why the novelty has faded off for a whole bunch of people using it. Or if the novelty hasn't worn off, they're certainly not using it as much as they did a while ago. You're seeing that in your stats.
The thing is, I think what somehow doesn't matter for the iPhone, but what does matter for the iPad and for Vision Pro is that most of the apps that we use these days, or most of the programs, I want to say, actually are designed in a way to interact with their other, like their peers, with the other apps. Like,
yes.
Of course, like when you think of an app, you think of like one thing that you open or whatever, but our computers are built basically by lots of little command line apps, by lots of little libraries that kind of interact with each other and kind of build on top of each other. And that's how we kind of got here where we have on our PCs, on our Macs, have like really capable applications, because they kind of like lots of different parties, either like open source or not, or close or whatever, like provided a building block, basically a puzzle piece, and then that kind of built up, and then suddenly the combination works, and then someone else decides, because they see this works, to re-implement the thing as a whole. But because that doesn't happen on iPad and Vision Pro, it kind of just stagnates. Like, and you can't do these building blocks. Like, it would be really
No.
cool to have like an app that is very powerful, but no one is going to make that because it is just like too much work for a very unsure return on investment. But if you
Yep.
could just combine like various smaller apps with individual features in a way that is like easy and quick and very helpful, like with drag and drop or copy and paste on the Mac. And I know you can do drag and drop on the iPad, but somehow it doesn't work as easily, right? Or maybe that's not the right paradigm. What I'm saying is like if you could just like combine the different apps properly in a way that you could like get some kind of workflow going, then like the value of the platform would rise so much. And I think, yeah, maybe that's the missing link. You know, you don't have to like open, like you don't have to allow like, I mean, you do have to allow, you don't have to disable sandboxing
No.
or anything like, but just give us APIs to like, I don't know, communicate between apps better, or like, I don't know, like make this pipeline work better.
You're dangerously close to something. I'm going to go off on a bit of a thing here, Daniel. You're setting me off here because, okay, so I have this app. It mixes video, right? And one of the things that I can't do with it that I could do if it was audio is I can't connect other video apps to it very easily. Like I can now. I've got the NDI support in terms of sending stuff from one device to another. That basically encodes the video frame into a transmission format. So it's like H.264 or 65 encoding it and then sending it over the network. And NDI is more complicated than that, but that doesn't matter. It's encoding it and sending it out. And I could technically use that to send stuff between apps on the same device as well, right, locally through the network layer. Over on the Mac, that same thing can work without any of that because I can use, there's a third-party library created out of the VJ and visual scene, actually, by a couple of very talented developers, that lets you share video frames between applications with zero latency because they are sharing the same reference to the same texture on the graphics card. The subsystem for that is IO Surface. That exists on iOS and iPadOS and Vision OS. The subsystem for transmitting this is a server, this is a client, and doing all of that this library uses is kind of based on something to do with how app processors can communicate with each other. So, for example, the XPC sort of subsystem inside of things represents that these days. I could almost do this, zero latency transmission between apps on an iPad or even on an iPhone-ish. Kind of gets a bit weird because backgrounded apps don't.
And then that other app could totally add more filters and stuff like that.
Exactly, and you could chain them together, or somebody else independent of me could make something that I could plug together into my apps, right? And I can almost do this today. You can transmit the data between processes, between apps using the same thing on iOS, except that it is locked to your sandbox. So it works, but you have to have apps in the same app group to talk to each other. And then it doesn't work because the IO surface, I believe, is locked in a way that it doesn't transmit outside of the sandbox process as well. So all the pieces are there, but it is deliberately hobbled because of the sandboxing.
Yeah. And I mean, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on App Store policies, you know?
Yeah. So but that's a literal worked example from my world of where this stuff prevents me from producing apps that would interoperate and be part of a wider ecosystem that would be incredibly powerful for me and other video independent developers, and really, really useful for users, for customers. But because of Apple's policies, that's impossible, and it bugs the living heck out of me, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And add to that the fact that if you like, don't get me wrong, like Vision Pro is a fantastically impressive device. Like just putting it on, and it's like, wow, this is like the technology is like feels like ultra advanced, and it's really cool. But that doesn't change the fact that putting on any VR headset is a bit of work. You're kind of commuting into VR. Like
Yes.
it's not like sitting down in front of a computer or grabbing a phone or iPad where you just like grab the thing and interact with it. You kind of gotta set it up. You're gonna put it on, and then you're in a different world, like literally actually, where you are like you need to like play by different rules. You're kind of disconnected, even if you have the weird little eye things on the display. You're kind of disconnected from the rest of, like, from the world around you in a way. And so yeah. And
the I think the eyes on the outside don't really connect you with other people. Right, as being the thing I've seen, like people just don't really like it. It's sort of a bit weird. I think there is a world in which Apple like releases the next Vision device, and it takes a whole bunch of this stuff into account. Like I could imagine a slightly lower cost device, you get rid of the screen on the front of it. That cuts some costs. There's a whole bunch of other bits they could probably trim here and there. There's a point where they could make the battery situation a bit better, maybe. I don't know. Like you've got the wire plugged in to it and all of that. That's a bit odd.
It's a bit odd, but it's not something that I don't know. Like you forget it. After
it doesn't really prevent anything. Yeah.
But it needs to be able to do something that a Mac can't do.
Yes, or it needs to be able to do the things a Mac can do to some degree in a sensible way, and provide all of the other bits it does really well on top. And I think that actually applies to the iPad as well, to be honest with you. But yeah, I know we've got to wrap the show and kind of wind up, but I just kind of wanted to say, like, there's been a couple of rumors about potentially Mac OS coming to the iPad.
Every now and then there's a rumor like that.
Yeah, and I got to say, I wouldn't hate it as an idea, as an option. Yeah. But honestly, I really wish they would just open things up a bit more and give us all the nice things. Wrap it up.
Like Mimi also wants to say hi.
Oh, we have a cat on the mic.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Daniel.
Yes. Let's wrap it up. Dave, people should really find you on the internet, and you and GoVJ. So where should they go to do that?
Well, you can find out about GoVJ over on lightbeamapps.com, and certainly once version 3 is updated, there'll be an updated website linked off of there. But watch this space. We all know I'm dragging my feet on that. And over on the socials, you can find me on Mastodon at dave@social.lightbeamapps.com. How about yourself, Daniel?
Find me at daniel@social.telemetrydeck.com. Oops. And also go to telemetrydeck.com, and in the next few days, there should be like one of those weird little new menus. So tell me if you like it or not. Also, thanks everyone for listening. Please rate us on iTunes and give us a thumbs up on the YouTubes. Send us emails at contact@waitingforreview.com. And have a great rest of the week, Dave.
You too, mate. And catch you later, Daniel.
Bye.
Bye.